Ibuprofen. What else are you in here?
Now we know his drugs.
All right, we are live.
Oh, all right.
All right, so welcome everybody to Good Medicine Way for December 11th as we calculate the time currently. We are coming from you from what is now called Albuquerque, New Mexico. It is actually the lands of the Tiwa people primarily. That's the 19 different pueblos in and around this area. And then we also have representation from 3 Apache bands, and then we're right on the edge of the Navajo Nation as well. So we want to acknowledge their ownership of the land and their stewardship of this area for a long time. And so with that, we will move into an opening prayer. So you want to get the smudge ready? And so, Creator, we thank you for your continued presence among us. We thank you that you are creator of all directions and of all stages of life. So that we know that no matter where we go or what we're going through or what's happening, that you are there with us because you understand all these things because they were made from your mind and your hand. We thank you for your presence and walking with us. We ask you to help us to be attuned to your movement through creation, that we could live in a harmonious way with you, and that we could catch sight of your vision for our times now and how our actions affect what will happen in the future, and for your long memory to know the things that have happened in our past that have brought us to where we are now. And Creator, we ask that you be amongst us in a special way tonight, whether in this room or with the people that are joining online, or the people even who will be watching later. And we just ask for your Spirit to move in a special way, and thank you for this opportunity for us all to be together. And Creator sets free His holy and incredible name. Amen and aho.
All right. Thank you, Brian. We're going to go into your song now. Holy is Yahweh.
Okay.
And one thing to know about our music that I don't think we've ever done a hymn. So just to let you know that the new genre of Native music, Native Christian music is coming out and is here, and we use as much, and Brian and Leah are able to create some of the new genre too. So we're going to be doing a song now. This has been kind of one of the standbys.
Yeah.
Good one.
The Jonathan Miracle song. We did actually do a hymn once, but we definitely nativized it.
Yeah.
So we were even thinking about doing that tonight for when Megan Krishke was going to be on, because it kind of went with her message. But so when she comes back, you'll be able to come in
just
and
let everyone know tonight we're Megan Krishke, who was going to be our speaker tonight, has come down with the same thing I had here a week and a half ago. It lasted 10 days. My chest congestion and all that. She just doesn't feel up to it. So we're going to reschedule her, and then so tonight I get to step in, pitch hit for her tonight, and then we're going to be doing something on dreams and visions.
Casey at bat?
Yeah, Casey at bat.
All right. Let me share the words, because we definitely, the point of when we do music is not to be performative, but to be inclusive. So we want everyone to sing along, or play along, or dance along, or whatever it is you feel most comfortable doing.
And as time goes, just like we know and memorize the hymns that we from the church, as you go, you'll start to these will become part of your internal repertoire of songs that you'll know. And I do have some of the CDs of Jonathan, so we could bring some of those here and share those. His name is Jonathan Miracle. He's from Canada. He's Mohawk, but he's been doing this kind of music for almost 27 years now. And
Yeah, I think we have some of his CDs out at that table there if anyone needs any, yeah.
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 All right, let me switch the mics and we'll do the song.
There's the one that he's holding right there, the one that I made. Yeah, that one with the hair, horsehair on it. All right, we're going to go to Leah McCoo, who will lead us in the sign language of the Lord's Prayer from the First Nations version.
Would you like us to read it first, Leah, or would you like to just do it?
You're muted.
Whichever you think is best.
All right. Well, I guess I got it right here, so we can read it we'll read it at a quick pace, so we have lots of time to do the sign language. So you don't have to try to do the sign language along right now, but you could be thinking of it. And here we go. Creator sets free, shows us how to pray. Oh, great Spirit, our Father from above, we honor your name as sacred and holy. Bring your good road to us, where the beauty of your ways in the spirit world above is reflected in the earth below. Provide for us day by day the elk, the buffalo, the salmon, the corn, the squash, and the wild rice, all the things we need for each day. Release us from the things we have done wrong, in the same way we release others who have done wrong to us. Guide us away from the things that tempt us to stray from your good road, and set us free from the evil one and his worthless ways. Aho, may it be so. All right, and take it away, Leah.
O great Spirit, our Father from above, we honor your name as sacred and holy. Bring your good road to us, where the beauty of your ways is reflected in the earth below. Provide for us day by day the elk, the buffalo, the salmon, the corn, the squash, and the wild rice. All the things we need for each day. Release us from the things we've done wrong. In the same way, we release others for the things done wrong to us. Guide us away from the things that tempt us to stray from your good road, and set us free from the evil one and his worthless ways. Aho, may it be so.
All right, thank you. Yeah, that's good. So, how many of you know somebody that understands sign language? Yeah, we need to share with them, and then you might even learn more expressions of that too. So we're going to go on. We're going to read the scripture now for tonight from Acts 2.
A quick interruption. By the way, it's really good with children. Putting a sign with each concept, and it kind of makes it come alive for children as well.
I think we skipped creation insights and reading creators' words.
Let's see. Where'd you put Leah? Oh yeah, that green line right there. Okay, I see that.
We're all like, "Ooh."
Hey Joe, if you would get ready with creation insights, we're ready for you. And Joe is coming from LA. And his workshop, the way it looks.
Yeah, I hide in here from everything. So today, so I come from Southern California, Los Angeles area, and on the traditional land of the Tongva. So I'm a friend of theirs, and my family comes from central New Mexico there. We're Pueblo and Apache. And today I was like praying, I was working in my garden a little bit today, and Casey had asked me this morning about doing this time with all of us. So, and then in my garden, I found, this is total cheating for Creation Insights. I found this little guy. So, yeah, kitty time, I guess. He's pretty cool.
Man, you got some special cattails there in your garden. Growing those things.
Yeah, I got some funky soil from down the road. So, yeah, I think we're gonna keep him because we're crazy. I don't know, but I'll give him back to my daughter here. She doesn't want to be on, but yeah, I don't know. I always kind of like try to spend some time outside whenever I get asked, and just kind of open your heart, pray, be observant, ask good questions, and try to be quiet, you know. I don't always find kittens, but when I do, yeah, I mean, but those are my prayers for you guys tonight, you know, like that would be something that you can take home with you, something practical, you know. Just, and it doesn't, I mean, I live in the city, like it's pretty busy here, it's pretty dense and crazy, but there's always little nuggets of rest, of where the creator speaks to you, and just yeah, urban natives. I'm not bougie though. I'm more like the urban natives that are in the alleyway than on so anyway, yeah, I just want to encourage us to, I don't know, take that time and let creator speak to us as we get in, kind of do those things. So that's what I had kittens and I had that. So
Well, thank you, Joe. Thank you. We'll go now to reading the scripture. Just to introduce that a bit, tonight, to put your thinking cap on, we're going to be talking about dreams and visions. Excuse me. Think of a verse, or on your phone, find a verse that you know that has something to do with dreams and visions, because they've been a part of the Bible, and they're a part excuse me, of our life too. So we're going to talk about how that importance. So Leah's going to read this from
All right. Well,
Acts 2.
reminded me every week when Joe's on, he's always in his workshop, and I'm reading this book that kind of portrays it as like in our situation, all the things you make in your workshop, like they manifest here as like, you know, smoke signals and this different song. It's like you're the spiritual core, and they come out here. So that's my little vision sauce on there. But here's a vision verse. This is Acts 2:17. In the last days, says Creator, I'll rain down my spirit upon all human beings from every nation. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Young warriors will see visions, and elders will have dreams. Creator's words.
All right, thank you. So that gets over to our smoke signal time. And I think first off, a couple of announcements, just to let you know that we are going to take a break for the holiday time here that's coming up. So on December 25th, spend time with your families. Yeah, spend time with your families, and whatever you do to celebrate the season there. And then also on New Year's Day, take that time to watch football, sleep in, do whatever you can to relax and refresh and be ready for the new year that's coming up. So those 2 days, just remember that we're going to take a break in Good Medicine Way, refresh ourselves, and so that we can be with family as well and have a good season there. Next week, I believe she's on here, Heaven. We're going to hear from Heaven. Boy, that's always a good sign there. Yeah, and that's her actual name. It's Heavenly is her middle name too. So she's going to be giving us a message next week. And then I'm going to reschedule Megan Kriske, who was going to be our speaker. We'll schedule her on into January or February now. And then right after the New Year's, we'll have Kelsey, and we'll have Karen Johnson, and then Jason Koppel, who I've got to know here over the years, and there's a story behind our relationship, and we'll share that all when that all comes up. So we're already scheduling into February, looking into March already, and so there's many others that are going to kind of reconnect with and see if they'll come on and be our speakers again for the coming year. So anyone else got something?
I do. Looks like we maybe found our new book for the women's book discussion on Wednesday nights. We'll start this after the new year. It's called Kat Armas, Sacred Belonging, a 40-day devotional on the liberating heart of scriptures. Just a little description. In this 40-day devotional, Cuban-American writer Kat Armas shows us that reading the Bible with fresh eyes allows us to experience God in new and liberating ways. Many Christians today are seeking to disentangle biblical teaching from power structures that marginalize women and people of color. So that's just a tiny little taste of it, getting into the Bible, stories from that angle. So I heard her on a podcast, doing a class online from the Christians for Biblical Egalitarianism. So she was speaking on there. Very good. So I'm looking forward to this. That should start on Wednesday nights, shortly after the new year. We just need to get the books all ordered.
All right, and that's just for the women, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. And Kelsey, you raised your hand?
Yes, I just wanted to say that this past week, basically, I got to spend a little bit of time in Farmington with Native InterVarsity. They had their Christmas dinner, and it was really, really fun. And I just want to thank you all for all the wonderful prayers and making sure that me and my daughter were able to make it home safely. And I'm also really looking forward to speaking at the beginning of January. I'm hoping that maybe I at least can show up and maybe do a special presentation in the new sanctuary that you all are gathering in right now. But yeah, I just wanted to just say a few little words about that, because I really did appreciate everyone's encouragement, and it was great to be back home in the mountains for a little while, even though it was for like 2 days. But yeah, so thank you for letting me talk too. But yeah, so yeah.
All right, well, next time you're going to have to slow down enough so that we can meet you here in Albuquerque. Yeah. I've seen all your little posts, and it's like, what? She's come through town, she's not stopping? So, boy, you're going to get you next time. So, yeah, so I'm glad you had a good time out there. And our speaker, Megan Kriske, is part of the InterVarsity group. And so she's in Oklahoma, and at the, what they call the Haskell Indian School. It used to be a boarding school at the time now, and now it's a university. So that's where Megan was from. Also, the other book group, Pagan Christianity, we're going to be meeting tomorrow night, and it's open for everybody. And you can come on. If you don't have the book, you can come on and just listen. It's very, very insightful just to listen. Okay, excuse me. And so that will be at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. And anything else? Anybody else got something? If not, we'll go into our giveaway time here. And the way we do the giveaway is that in a native way, and then we offer our gifts on a blanket. So this blanket here has the 4 directions on it.
You have your words.
What we do is you bring your gift. A friend of mine, Richard Twist, he says, it's this time that reach into your neighbor's pocket and use his wallet and take out and give like you always wanted to give. So everything that you give we use for Good Medicine Way promotion, and coming up that, like I said, we're going to hopefully have another launch coming up in the future. Hopefully have a nice turnout for that. split coming and all the other little expenses that we have that we're dealing with. So you come up and you bring your gift, and then you raise it to God, and then you give it on the blanket. And with a song.
Yeah, and then if there are you out there in digital land who would like to donate to the work of Good Medicine Way, we're going to put a QR code blanket up that you can take a photograph of and donate that way. And also on Facebook, there's the Good Medicine Way group, and at the top of that, there's a logo you can click on to donate through PayPal or other cards. And you can Facebook message me, Leah Grover, if there are other ways, check or whatnot that you'd like to donate. And also, I'd like to put a plug in for, we've been saying if you have a song that you'd like to perform, or I don't know, a skit or a poem, whatever you can perform in your little square at home, the invitation is open to do that here, there, or in person. But also, even if you just have a request, you'd like us to do a certain song, you can definitely Facebook message Brian Grover or Leah Grover. We can try to do those songs.
All right, we'll put up our QR code blanket.
Hold on. That did something weird. Let's try this again. There we go.
I praise you for the rivers, the mountains and the streams. I praise you for the eagles, the visions and the dreams. I praise all your creation, the mountains and the streams. I praise you for the eagles, the visions and the dreams. Hallelujah, hallelujah, I praise you for my people, the mountains and the streams. I praise you for the eagles, the visions and the dreams. I praise you, all your children, the mountains and the streams. I praise you for the eagles, the visions and the dreams. The visions and the dreams. The visions and the dreams. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah,
That song was by Bill Miller, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bill Miller. Bill Miller is a native artist. He's got many different songs out. He's been in the music industry a long time. I've seen him, worked with him a few different times when we were in Tennessee. So very good. He's very supportive of native ministries as well. We're going to go into our stillness time right now, and Brian will lead us in a flute song. This is just to prepare your heart for, tonight I'm stepping in to fill our talking time tonight, and pray that you will be touched and led in a good way. We share the stillness time. Brian. All right, tonight I'll ask you to think about visions and dreams. And if you have a verse, I'll give you a chance in the future. You can share that verse. But I'm going to be preparing a paper for a symposium that's coming up in July. And it's a symposium I'll be going into its 21st year that's been going on. It's a group called NATES. The acronym NATES stands for the North American Institute for Indigenous Theological Studies. And some 25 years ago, a group of us, a small group of Native guys and gals, got together and had this vision of seeing a world where Native people can come to Christ within their cultural identity and worldview and values. Compared to having to come to Christ in a white, Western, North Atlantic, male theological framework that we do in most all of our churches. And a lot of that has to do with sitting in pews facing forward, listening to a preacher from a pulpit. A lot of the things that you just take for granted in church are not of a Native American experience. They believed in the Creator, and many indigenous peoples around the world believed and worshiped the Creator, but they always had to do it in a white Western model. So I'm using this symposium time to work on some ideas I've been putting together for years, but not to just keep grinding that axe all the time that I do, is that there's a portion in here for the symposium. The submission of the papers that will be coming in is how do we build a future for a new world? The future for Native ministries, because we've been doing this for 25 years now, and it's come to a point now that I will share, is that it started when I was 28 years old, when I had a vision of what it could look like. And leading now on until I'm now going to be 67 this spring. So more than half of my life has been devoted to working in Native ministries in a way where Native people can come, and all indigenous peoples. We're talking about people, not just the white Western people, European descent, but all those who are African, South American, Central American, African, Asian. Those cultures can also see God and express their worship to Him from within their cultural context. And the reason I do that is that NATES started off with almost 9 people who really caught a vision that say, we got to do something different to reach the Native populations, because they're turned off by the gospel. They're turned off by the gospel because, why? And all of you can think of something. We've been massacred, we've been moved, we've been, what do you call, biological warfare that was kind of unintentional, but it became intentional, where disease ravaged the people, killed thousands upon thousands of Native people, taking the children, relocating us from our lands to lands further west, taking the way of our religious ways, taking our language, making us assimilate to the white Western models. There's so many things that were forced upon us that many Native people just want to say, no more. I've had enough of it. I don't want to deal with it anymore. But because the gospel was given to us that way, many, many Native American people have a faith in Christ. But there are such a big section of people that don't. So with the scripture that we read here, I'll read it again here, because I really fall into 2 big categories in this scripture. In the last days, says Creator, I will rain down my spirit upon all human beings from every nation. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Young warriors will see visions, and elders will have dreams. And in the other scripture it says, your young men will dream dreams, and your old men will see visions. And I thought, man, I fit both those categories, because when I was 28, I had a dream. So now when I'm 67, I still got a vision for the future of still staying in the game here and still pressing forward to do like good medicine way, and doing papers and going academics and traveling and helping people see. I still have that desire in my heart to just keep moving on all these years. So visions and dreams are a big part of the Bible, right? The Bible is full of visions and dreams. And I just opened up a page on the computer here, and just to glance over just the hundreds and hundreds of scriptures that were available. And now you know I can't find it. But they're all the way from the time of Abraham. Abraham had a vision. He had a vision that God was telling their family to move from Ur of the Chaldees, of a very pagan world. And I say pagan, it was that they were worshiping the Creator, God, but not God Most High. And this was a time before they were even introduced to Jesus. So they were worshiping God Most High. They were worshiping the Creator, in a sense, but they didn't know him as God Most High, the Creator of the world, who would send his Son in to die for our sins, all of that. When they came out of that world, they stepped away from that world, I call it small g God, to now capital G God. So in small g God, they prayed and they worshiped, and they maybe had visions and dreams in there. But when they stepped out of that world, continue to have prayer, singing, dancing, worship, visions, and dreams still. So they were called out, and they started a path, and I teach this in another portion, might do it sometime, is that from that point forward, they weren't called Jews. There wasn't a Christianity. There was no pews, altar, piano, organ, anything that we can associate with what we know today as Christianity. But he had a vision of moving towards what God was leading him to. And that was to lead and be the father of many nations. So that whole story comes from that time. So visions and dreams, that's just one. Then we know Paul had a vision. We know others who had visions. The vision of the ladder that went to heaven. You got all of you can think of some place where there was a vision being told. So with that in mind, visions have always been a part of our Christian life in the Bible. But also that some people say, well, that time has discontinued. They call it cessationists. We don't do that anymore. You know, that's for Old Testament, that's for Bible times. But no, it's still leading people now into understanding God, getting called into ministry, having a desire to do something that's different, like the way I'm doing ministry, a desire to be called into missions, to be a missionary, to be a pastor, to get a calling that some of those are given to us by visions. You know, I got started, like I said, when I was 28 years old. I was working with the Methodist Church in Michigan, where there's 10 Indian churches. And I don't know how to categorize this, but to hear a voice from God, it's on the par of having a vision. You're getting an expression from God that is not natural, you know. It's something out of the blue. So it happens. If you've ever read this book called Black Elk Speaks, it's of a Lakota spiritual man who tells his vision to John Neihart, and he writes it down and he shares in a long book about his vision and how that it's all expressed. And so visions for me happened during that time in Michigan. I was working at the time, I was young, And I went to a meeting, and most all of the people there were all gray-haired. As I sat about 7 rows, I was looking forward, and my aunt, my uncle, and a couple other uncles were the pastors, and the pastors' wives, they were all there. And as I sat back and I was watching and listening, I heard a voice. And I heard a voice tell me, just a phrase, because I try to cross my fingers here that I always do that if I don't want to lose my spot and my thought. So, visions and dreams in the native sense, I have been told from my teachings in Michigan among the native people, is that if you have a vision, you can share bits and pieces of it, but you never share the whole thing. Because when you share the whole thing, you're giving it away, no longer yours. So you can give little nitbits and let people hear a little bit about what your vision was. So what happened there, when I heard a voice, and the voice said to me, Case, who is going to take their places? And these are all gray-haired people, most of them over 60, some into their 70s. They're all still ministering and being in the church and native ministry. I heard the voice ask me who was going to take their places. And this was the surprise, is that I was sitting there and I heard that, and I just said, I am. Just that loud. And everybody thought that I must have fallen asleep or something, and it kind of woke up like, I am, like that. But no, I expressed myself verbally, and it caused kind of a commotion. Everybody turned around and looked at me and just wondered what was going on. It's like, did he fall asleep, or what's going on, or who's he talking to? And afterwards, I talked to 2 of my uncles who were the pastors. They were sitting up there, and I told them what had happened. And I just felt that I got to know what this means, that I heard a voice, and I believe it was God calling me, as I understood it, to go into ministry as a young man. And from that point on, there were other things in that little dialogue that I won't share, but that call to ministry started me on a track of ministry from 28 years old. I had a good job. I mean, at that time, as a young man, 20 years old, I'd been working as a machine builder, so I was making roughly $35,000 a year, 30 years ago. So that's like making almost $70,000 today. So I was making a lot of money. That being a young man, I just saved it. I had the old guys that were there. They said, "Well, we got to help you. We want you to spend it." And funny thing, it was all these Dutch guys that I was working with. So Dutch guys, they're like really tight with their money. They really wanted me to carry that on too. So they were giving me direction on that too. So I did. I had this direction. I kept my money. I saved it. I bought a house, and I bought a house at that time for $35,000. You can't do that anywhere now. And it was a nice little nest that I was building to hope someday get married and have a starter home. So that, and then later we probably would have moved on. But right during that time, I was called into ministry. But that was a vision that I had of a voice telling me to come into ministry, and me accepting that. So visions for me in my Christian walk are still happening. And I believe they're happening to many other people, but there's this secular, I don't know, it's kind of I pick on white people sometimes, because white Western European people kind of in general have just kind of lost touch with the spirit, because they're so into the materialistic secular world that they can't sense things that are happening around them, and other people can. And some people, one person I know, an elder, he told me that kind of thing, is that we have to help them and help them get more in touch with that spiritual world, become more sensitive to the Spirit that's working around us all the time. So as I was working on and putting together kind of some notes for this paper that I'll doing, the theme of the symposium is how do we create and envision a new future? And then how do our dreams and visions work in that way to give us a dream and vision for a new future? So with that, I'm going to be using some of my story, and then I got a bunch of notes that I've been taking about how organizations need to see a future. My call to this kind of ministry happened in 1992. In 1992, again, visions and dreams happened to me. And I'll share this, and then, like I said, I only need to share these little pieces of it. But when it happened to me, and I had this dream, and I call it as dream/vision, because in 1992, on Friday night, I went to sleep, and a lot of times dreams and visions come to you because you're working to settle something that's been a problem for you. You're trying to work through something in your life, and then direction comes to you through a dream and a vision. So those kind of things can happen. There's a whole lot to do with dreams and visions, but a lot of them has to do with how you deal with circumstances in your life and how does that all work out. So I was trying to figure out, how do I come to terms with understanding who I am as a Native person, and I believe in Jesus, but why do I have to go into a white Western church in order to live that out? Europe, and this book here is really, I tell people to read it because it's showing exactly what Europe did to create a Christianity that looks like their world. And that's what we do here. So everything that's happening in here when you're on Sunday service is talked about in here to show you that that's how Europe put it together. They call it contextualization. Contextualization is how you worship Christ from within your particular world and your context. So white Western Europeans from Europe created from their world around them, their pagan world, they filtered in a lot of things from their world to celebrate Resurrection Sunday and the birth of Jesus. There are just two of them. But also how they created the priesthoods, how they created the pastors, how they created the ways of worshiping, the songs that came out, the hymnals that came out. All of those came out from a white Western expression. But evangelism around the world took on this, let's transplant what we're doing into this world of indigenous people. Even though this indigenous people in Europe created something that looked like them, they still took it and transplanted it into all these indigenous peoples around the world and said, you have to come to Christ and worship him the way we created. So years ago, like I said, this small group of people got the vision to do something else. So the vision that I had that set me on a course down this road was, in the night, I fell asleep and I was working through that paradigm of trying to figure something out. And as I slept, I went into this, I don't call it trance, I just went into like a regular dream. And a lot of times, if you're like me, a lot of dreams you just do not remember when you wake up. It's just like, I wish I could finish that dream, because you want to, like, wow, it was so cool. You want to go back there. But this dream here came into my life as a dream with my eyes shut, and I was seeing a young boy going through a vision quest, a native vision quest in Michigan, along the lake shores of Lake Michigan, he and his father going through a vision quest. And I was to be that boy, like 2,000 years ago, living in a natural native world, having a vision quest. I was experiencing that vicariously in my dream. So all the preparation, all the things that they did, the long journey, the 4 days of fasting, all of that was happening in this dream. And as it continued to happen, when the boy sat by the fire and he fell deeper into sleep, I went into what I feel is like a hologram. We know what a hologram is now. That's like when you've seen on Star Wars, that kind of thing. You can see something in front of you and talking to you, or you see something happening. My dream transferred over and became vision, that I call. Then that story that I dreamt continued on and became this cinema for me to further that dream, and just kept going, but I was awake. So this is just only mine. I'm giving you these little tidbits about my dream. So those are the two big particulars about it. The dream, that was only the vision part of seeing it happen. Then there's another whole section of it that takes me on a road down to the future, of where I'm going to be in the future. And it came to a point, and I only share this point, it came to a point where there was a book. And the pages of that book were being opened and flipped over. And they were my life. When I was young, how I got older, how I became a machine builder, how I got my call to ministry, and how I was going to pursue going into ministry, whether a big Bible college or how it was going to be. That path started going. And as the pages flipped, I shut the book, because it was just like, oh, I could not believe what I was seeing in there, that so many things down the road, wow, I just couldn't imagine those happening to me. So I shut the book. And later on, a friend of mine came to me, and he didn't know anything about my vision that I had. But he came and he visited me at the house here in Albuquerque when we first moved to town. He came and he sat there and he says, I want to tell you about the book. And he was an elder here in town. His name is Larry Littlebird. And he says, I want to tell you about that. He says, you got to finish that. You got to finish that book and open those pages. So that's part of my vision. So you might not have had those kind of dreams and visions like I had, but you do have urges. You have a desire to see something happen. You have a vision for the future. In the case of Nate's, they want to see, where does Nate's go in the future? And that comes from looking at the world and planning it. When we look at our dreams and we look at the future, they're both concepts that we can think of things that happened to our past, and we can think of things that happened in our future, might happen in our future. We tried, that's just my family, they're coming in. Yeah, so then they knew they might be late. So that is what needs to happen. So Nate's wants to have this symposium and have people come and talk and share about how they see and where they see the organization going in the future. How is it going to affect the world in the future? How is this seminary that we developed? I didn't tell you about that. Nate's has turned into the acronym Nate's, N-A-I-I-T-S, colon, an Indigenous Learning Community. That's what we call an official seminary that we started now. It's fully accredited by the Association of Theological Schools, and it's designed, developed, delivered, and governed all by Indigenous people. And I was kidding, and we didn't name it after some dead white missionary. Yeah, it's Nate's and Indigenous Learning Community. That's the name of the seminary. Yeah, it isn't Fuller, it isn't Asbury, it isn't all these other names, because it's about teaching the next generation. It's about learning. So, but it's so unique that the Association of Theological Schools give us accreditation, and then we applied for some grants, and we got them. We got several $1 million to develop even further what the future is going to look like. So with this package that I'm putting together, I hope to share this at Sioux Falls Seminary in end of July. And that's what I wanted to tell you. So I wanted to open it up for questions because I have a lot of different experiences in helping other people see their vision, what they want and where they think they need to go. I help them walk through battles in their life that they're trying to figure out. So Brian can lead us in talking. And first, the stillness time.
Yeah, so we'll do a little, just a stillness centering time again, just so you can kind of process what Casey was talking about and see how Creator is speaking to your heart with it, and then we'll go into some question and response time. All right.
Any questions on Facebook or YouTube?
I don't see any. There was a long chit chat on YouTube.
Oh, needing a local sweat lodge.
Yeah, it was a guy elder in Texas who was trying to develop a better network of sweat lodges because he traveled all the way to Utah to do his. But I don't know if he's on anymore. So, but yeah. So if you know people who do sweat lodges
Does Robert
in
still do?
Texas, let us know and we'll try to pass the info on to him.
Not anymore, Pete.
I don't know, was there anything on Facebook?
How about I throw a question out there? Who can tell me a short version of their dream or vision?
Well, and then Heaven just like posted a laundry list of scriptures.
There's over 100 scriptures that have to do with dreams and visions. Yes, there's many, because we don't think about that. Joseph, and Mary, the mother and father of Christ, both had visions there, and more of them too, to flee and go to Egypt, and then another vision of when to return. All these Diane?
I'm not sure if it's a question or maybe my own, not trying to be arrogant addition. But if you would you classify what I'm going to say into what you're endeavoring to do? Anytime I hear someone speaking of visions and dreams, it's usually about, kind of a big future like yours. Yours was, this is where I'm sending you. The Lord's telling you, this is what's your future. But I guess I can speak from my own experience. I believe I have had visions or communication from God, and they're just very individual. Do they affect other people in some small way? Of course. We don't live without touching other people, but they're still mostly just, they're just, he's telling me you need to do this or you need to do that. And they're not like, looking in the year ahead or the 10 years ahead. They're just for like right now or next week. Or am I making any sense at all?
It's very good. You can have your own individual calling, your communication with God, a direction for your life. Yeah.
Well, sometimes I think it might even be that as people acknowledge that from the Lord, then it's kind of like he can build on that. Maybe some of us aren't ready to hear as big a thing as you heard and saw, but we need that small communication to get us going to where then it puts us in a place where we're ready to hear and obey when he talks to us. And I think a lot of people, they don't even acknowledge when God's talking to them because they think, well, why would God talk to me? And yet God talks to all of us. We just have to open our ears.
It's being sensitive to that. And a direction individually is fine. A direction that leads you into affecting other people's lives is fine. It's all different. And all the first dream that I had was all a starting point, because 33 years later, it's all coming together. More and more of it is being added on. And now I'm even called to work with Nate's into helping them envision a future. So it's sharing what I have gotten personally and how can I add to this organization now a further direction that they want to grow more. Because I believe, it's just me, but there's many people that don't have a sensitivity to what the Spirit's doing or the direction. So they're calling on people to fulfill that void there that they can't hear or understand. And I think it will, in some cases, add to what they already are feeling needs to be done. So what I might share and what somebody else might share is just going to add affirming their calling. And one particular thing that they're doing here is that it can be done academically, where you just write a paper on it and then read it, or you can do a paper and a panel, where you'll have several people who contributed to the paper talk on that topic, and then it can also be just a practitioner. And I fit that category as a practitioner, but I'm also an academic as well. So mine is going to be part academic and part practical. So I'm going to share how I lived my academic life in practice. So it's called praxis, is a technical word. So I'm going to show that balance. And it's going to be, I got editors that are going to help me put this together. I have lots of material, but they help me to filter it down into concise wording. So 20 pages double-spaced. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think, like going off of what Diane was talking about, I think a lot of times that God uses like visions or enlightenment just to kind of encourage and nourish us along the way. I think especially for people who have been walking with Creator for a long time and have, you know, been parts of what Creator's doing in ministry and outreach, like you kind of you know pragmatically what needs to be done. But I think a lot of times you begin to worry about how is this going to work out? How is this going to affect this person who's important to me, or you know, whatever. And you can begin to start carrying this anxiety with you as you're traveling. And I think a lot of times God gives little visions or, you know, some kind of idea of clarity to help you release that anxiety and to help you to really cast your care and your trust on Him, to know that He's going to continue to walk with you in it. So a lot of times it's not like, oh, God's doing this big course correction or change in what you're doing, but it's just God's letting you know, like, hey, I'm still here, I'm still with you, we're still walking together. I'm concerned with the things that you're concerned with. You know, I'm going to take care of those things. You know, and that we just need that kind of encouragement along the way, because you know it's a long journey. I mean, how many times did Paul talk about, you know, the Christian faith being like an endurance run? You know, it's not just like oh, you're a weightlifter, you just got to lift that huge amount of weight one time and you're done. It's like, no, you're on a marathon run. And so a lot of times, you know, God gives us, like, you know, how runners oftentimes have those little gel shots for a little shot of extra energy. You know, sometimes God gives us a vision for, like, you know, that little gel shot in our spiritual walk to give us that little boost of energy to keep going. So, yeah.
Well, Lamar wrote that little one down there, and then the two ladies up there have. So, no, that's Joe and Helen.
Yeah, Joe's been waiting for a little bit.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Joe.
I think maybe I have a question. No, I just appreciate you, Casey, for sharing, bringing this up. It's good. My thoughts go to like spiritual gifts, you know, the ones laid out in the Bible. And I know certain organizations put heavier emphasis on different gifts, and not on others, and kind of all and in between. So I guess I just wanted to point that out just for thought. But I guess my question is, or just for topic conversation. So holding vision, I find it's difficult. It's just challenging in my faith, challenging in my life. I just wanted to open that up for you guys as far as like discussion too. Like, is that something that you feel, or am I crazy, or kind of thing? So, yeah, I guess that was my thoughts anyway.
Yeah, that topic there, I think God can open you up to let you find your gift, and then lead you on a path of developing that gift. And that could be on another category of some form of vision that he's already working with you. It doesn't have to be something like I did. It doesn't have to, or the words, hearing a voice. It can be soft and subtle. It can be working with you to your awareness of a gift that you have to use for his work. And that's a vision that he's placed in your life individually to manifest and find out where it works and in the work that's got to be done.
Yeah, I think it's important to recognize too that like gifting is like a dynamic thing. I think in a lot of churches and organizations, they kind of see gifting as kind of like your title or your job description, to where like, oh, you're a prophet, or you're a teacher, or you're a this, or you're a that. But the Bible clearly says that the Spirit gives gifts as he wills. So that means that the Spirit is ready to equip us with whatever gift we need for whatever situation we're in. Now, yes, do I think it's true that some people are, more gifted in evangelism or teaching or whatever? Yes, there are people who are more skilled in those things and walk in those ways, in ways that others don't always. But I don't think that once you're a one thing, that it's a static thing for the rest of time. Like the Spirit moves with you in a dynamic way. And if you need a word of teaching for somebody in the moment, if you need a word of encouragement, if you need an evangelical kind of process for what you're doing, like the Spirit will equip you with whatever gift you need in that moment. So to say that you have one thing doesn't mean that you're excluded from all others. So, and I think it's important to recognize that, because I think that especially in American society, we just like to kind of label everybody with like, oh, this is your gift and you're this thing forever. I have you neatly in my box and that's all you're ever going to be. And that's not how Creator's Spirit moves, in my experience and in my opinion.
Oh, we got a big lineup.
We do. All right, go ahead, Helen. And if anybody in the room, just, throw up your hand or shout it out and we'll get you in there. But go ahead, Helen.
I was going to say some of the same thing. As I was hearing Diane speak, one thing that I've noticed from sometimes attending the book club with her is that you have earned the trust of a lot of semi-social and feral cats, which I consider to be a sign. Not every human being has that. I don't know if you knew that about her, but they trust her to bring them food. They come to her if they are in need of some things. I mean, you can correct me on some things, but I know Diane knows all the details about it, but that's an amazing thing that Creator has given you. Especially since I know something about feral cats, that if past a certain age of kittenhood, if they don't have contact with people, they never will. And so I don't know what the history is of these cats, but they trust you. That's a sign. I think of that with Joe too, that the kitten wandered into your garden today. Somehow that kitten instinctively knew that was a safe place, a safe haven. I think visions may come at the times when we need them. Maybe we don't need them all the time because we have to actually do the work that we saw in the vision. But I guess I see amazing things that are happening in a lot of your lives. And I feel like because I'm standing on the outside, I might see something that you're in the middle of and don't quite see. So I should mention it. So that's all.
All right, go ahead, Jamie.
Yes, I just wanted to say that, first that this topic is very interesting and very encouraging, because I feel like lately I've really, and I've been aware of it, that I've been really struggling with having a sense of a vision for my future. And I could relate to what Joe was saying about, I think, holding the vision. Basically, it seems like maintaining the vision maybe is what he was getting at. Or at least that's for me, what I related to that. So, yeah, it was very encouraging because, yeah, this last year, I just really went on quite an unexpected journey. I think most of you know I was overseas for 7 months, serving the Lord in various places. And I know that he was guiding the way and he was doing things, but at times I kind of, I felt, like I was not like in control of the reins, which I guess, God was in control, but I wasn't sure exactly where he was going. And he opened a lot of doors but it just felt like that trying to think how to put into words that he opened a lot of doors, but I felt like I didn't quite go through them and that there wasn't a lot of closure to things. And then towards the end, my health just got worse and worse. And that was the hard thing, is that I really struggled in my health, and I suddenly had to come home. And I felt like there were these things that were unfinished and things that didn't have closure. And then my health was in a really bad way. And I was like, what do I do with this, Lord? Like, what do I do now with my life? And so I've really been struggling with the vision for my future, because I feel, generally speaking, called to the nations. There's more to it than that. A lot more to it than that, but just for time's sake, just say that. But then, with what I've been struggling with my health, it's like, how does that happen? How am I going to get back to that, moving towards that vision? And I actually kind of feel a little bit like right now, we're what Diane was saying about having kind of maybe just short-term things that God gives her to do. And that's where I'm at right now, where I have to just be obedient to do what he's given me in front of me to do, and to just be a good steward of that. But at the same time, I feel like it's important to have a long-term vision, like Brian was saying, to be encouraged, while I am, believing for my healing and walking on this path towards my healing, moving towards the vision that God has put in my heart, that if he's put that in my heart, that he's going to make a way for it. I just believe the enemy doesn't want me to do that. That's why I've been having these attacks on my health, but it's important to have a vision. And so I'm just praying that God will breathe fresh upon my vision. And I think that really that now is the time for that. I also wanted to mention briefly that it's interesting. You guys always so frequently end up talking about things that coincide with the Hebrew months. And so it's really interesting that you're talking about this now, because we're on the very last day of the Hebrew month of Kislev, which one of the things that are associated with that month. By the way, I just want to apologize if I am not always making or sounding coherent, because one thing I've been struggling with lately is brain fog. So just bear with me as I try to express my thoughts. But anyway, one of the things that's associated with the month of Kislev is dreams. That's like one of the things that is talked about. And one reason is because that, in Judaism, every week they have a Torah portion that they study. The Torah being, of course, the first 5 books of the Bible, and they study a portion of that every week. And during the month of Kislev, it actually has the most mention of dreams in that portion of the Bible, one of them being Joseph, like you mentioned, his dreams. So there's more dreams mentioned in the month of Kislev than in any other time of the year. And also because of it being a time, during winter when it's dark, so people are sleeping and dreaming more. So there's an emphasis on paying attention to your dreams and to listen to how God is speaking to you through your dreams. And then tomorrow is the first day of the Hebrew month of Tevet. And every Hebrew month has a letter that's associated with it. And it's the letter Ayin that's associated with the Hebrew month of Tevet, which is symbolic of an eye. It's a pictographic image of an eye. So that month is associated with vision. So, and within these 2 months, there's a theme of light shining in the darkness and illuminating your vision. So first in the month of Kislev, we're focusing on our dreams. What is God speaking to us through our dreams? And then how can he breathe fresh into our vision and illuminate our vision for the season ahead? So I just thought I would mention that. So this does seem to be a good time spiritually to step back, and just wait on the Lord and meditate on what he's speaking through our dreams and let him illuminate our vision for the season ahead. And that is certainly where I'm at. Thanks for letting me share.
Thank you, Jamie.
Yeah, I would just say that, Creator's calendar that he gave the Hebrew people, yeah, I guess he still follows it because we're being sensitive to his spirit. We happen to be lining up with it. That's the only thing I can think of with that. One thing I thought of for your situation, Jamie, that came to mind is that that one passage where Paul is talking about, his own experience and how he says, like one person waters, one person tends, one person grows. That, a lot of times God just has us in a situation for one part of what he's doing in that area, and then there's others that come to continue the work. Because I've also been involved in a lot of things where, like, I'm seeing the beginning of something, and then I'm excited to see how it grows, but then for whatever reason, I'm not part of the rest of that experience. So I really could relate to what you were talking about. But that's a scripture that God's often brought to my mind in those kinds of situations, to know that he's still working in those areas. And even though there wasn't closure for me in that, and that maybe I didn't get to see exactly how God was working everything out, but Creator still was working everything out. And I just played my role in the one part that I did. And then Creator brought other people in to do the other bits. So yeah, but I get it. It can be frustrating to feel like, no, I want to see it happen, but we're finite human beings, and we can only exist in time and space and one spot at a time. So we're a little limited, but God's not limited. He can be everywhere.
I'll add one thing to that as well. A nugget from my vision is that it was going to take all my life. Yeah, so whatever is transpiring, my vision is for the continued until I meet the Lord. So my whole life is the fulfillment of the vision.
In for the long haul.
Long haul, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I just wanted to say real quick, Brian, that what you said was a confirmation of, it reminded me of something my mom said to me recently, that she said, it seems like God sends you to these places to birth things, to birth movements, or to birth different things. But a lot of times, you move on to somewhere else, and then you go there and you birth something there. Awesome.
Yeah, you're just like God's apostolic midwife, going around birthing things.
All right, Kelsey.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of funny that you decided to speak on visions and dreams. I've been having a lot of visions and dreams lately. Just kidding. I think a lot of us have. Like in the old days, visions would come to people, or dreams would come to people during times of like sickness, during times of like suffering, during times of transition, during times of like celebration. It used to come from many different places. And I was actually reminded that that Creator does give us visions, for certain reasons, obviously. Sometimes like for me, my most vivid dreams, those that have actually come to pass, have usually come from times when I was in the dark, when I was in a sickness, or when I was losing a family member, or when I was transitioning into another place in time. And I feel like tonight, with us talking about the importance of visions, the importance of following these different dreams, I feel that that this is a very timely message. And like I've told you all a few of my dream stories. I post them on Facebook so I never forget them too, and they come back around and remind me that this is where I came from. And I remember during yes, huh? I remember during a time of when I was transitioning from the Four Corners to where I am now. I had many visions of tornadoes, you know, and I was just thinking about this scripture, right? Because we were talking about looking through the Bible for certain scriptures, and I came across Job 33, 14 through 18, and basically it talks about like well, let me just go ahead and say it. For God does speak now one way, now another, though no one perceives it. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falls on people as they slumber in their beds. He may speak in their ears and terrify them with warnings, to turn them from wrongdoing and keep them from pride, to preserve them from the pit. Their lives are perishing, or their lives perishing from the sword, or somewhere along the lines. But yeah, speaking of like the sweat lodges, speaking of like forewarning things, creator will give you those great visions of what you see in the future, but he'll also protect you by giving you certain dreams. Like how I was saying the other night on Facebook that I had a dream that there was somebody shooting at my house. There was some person that was following me and my family in our future home. And like to me that sounds very scary, you know. But I knew that creator was just I think that creator is just trying to remind me that I always have to protect my family, and I always have to be on the lookout. Not only because we're native people, but because, you know, everyone is susceptible to the things that are meant to hurt you. But creator is letting you know that he won't let that happen, you know. So yeah. But yeah, that was just a thought that I was having with the visions and dreams. Sometimes creator will guide us through something like into our future. He'll give us a glimpse, or sometimes he will let us know that something may be coming and that we need to prepare for it. And and when those visions in your sickness or visions in your darkness, be sure to hold on to those, because creator will show you something good out of it. So yeah, that's just my thought though. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk so long-winded.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone here?
The first time I ever took Aria to a fire, she was talking about playing in the backyard and how the plants would dance with the wind, and how she would grab the rocks and rub the rocks on the plants so that they knew they were loved. And she was sharing this like with their own little spunkiness at the fire. And it made me laugh, because like if people would have heard that, they would title it as something like neurodivergent or something. But when you're little and you're in the backyard, the plants really do dance with the wind, and the rocks really are their relative. And none of that is really out there. It's really just like the way that it is. And it's funny how growing up now, you would be made to feel odd or weird for being in relationship with all of your relatives, you know? And so I pray for Aria a lot, because I think, you know, the kids that are being born now are being born to bring in a new world, and they're seeing things in a new way. And we should really be encouraging them as not like defining things, but as being in relationship with things. And I think that's what today's talk really made me think about.
Very cool.
she's our next week's speaker. Oh, we got Nikki. Nikki is going to be sharing. Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
do this real
yeah.
quick. I just wanted to, my name is Nikki, by the way, but I just wanted to share a personal just belief of mine. I'm sure you guys have heard of like deja vu, just kind of that experience of being like, I've been here before, like maybe in a dream or something. I personally think that deja vu could be a good thing. It just means that you're on the right path and like you're following kind of the footsteps that your dreams or even creator has set out for you. Just something to think about, but that's all I wanted to say.
I'll add a little bit to the touch with the earth. I try to walk every morning and evening, and I take a different path almost every time. Some through the housing, some through the petroglyphs, some through along the bike path. There's not enough nature for me around my walks. So every little bit that I encounter, there are two different places where the houses have ponds with like a little babbling brook. It's just, when you walk by it, it's just, you can just hear the sound, and it just speaks to you that, our bodies are like 90% water, and that water is flowing here, and it's just, there's a connection. The other day I was walking, or not the other day, about a month ago I was walking, and I seen this beautiful lawn ornament. It was a huge tortoise. And I thought, wow, that is so cool. I wonder how much that costs. And then it started walking. And it was a real, big as a 55-gallon drum, around tortoise that was in the yard. And I was just caught by surprise just to see it move. And then my dog also seen it, it's kind of like, what? And she couldn't take her eyes off either. It's like, it's moving. This big lawn ornament. It's like, so, and then when we walk, sometimes I don't know what it is, but if there's branches hanging in the bike path, not ones that are going to stick you in the eye or something, but I let them brush against me when I go. And it's like, it's like being touched by the world that I'm a part of. I'm not above it, below it, but I know that in a native way, we know that we are a part of this world. And what happens to it happens to us. So we got to take care of it, and hopefully it'll be there for our kids long into the future. So I just wanted to share that I try to touch the earth every time my dog, stops. I do a little stretch and I touch the earth and move the stones, pick up a stone, touch the earth, and then we move on. But there's always some part of my walk that has to do with just knowing nature. So just wanted to share that connection. Okay, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, come on.
Hi, I'm Melissa, and I just want to say a few days ago I was hanging with some friends and I was crafting, and somehow we got onto the conversation about people and things having souls, and I was telling them I see a soul in everything. And when we make something, we put a little bit of our soul into that as well. That's just what I wanted to say.
Yeah, that's very cool. I know, because I'm a crafter as well. So that rattle that Don has over here, there's a bit of me into that. And when I make a cradle board, some people will ask, will you, as you make it, will you pray? And I says, already done. Every time I make a craft, it's already, my hands, my thoughts, my prayers have already gone into that gift to that person. And this cradle board that's going to be used for our baby, that's just so cool that something I'm making is going to help nurture another generation of people. Last thing I'll share, I think here, got one more coming up there, is in the Anishinaabe way of my people, is that we believe in always planning for 7 generations. So when I think of the work with Nate's, we started 25 years ago, and we've seen down the road this was going to happen, already seeing how we would be influencing another generation. And now we're at a point, now we're already, how are we going to continue to keep nurturing and teaching another generation down the road? So that 7 generations, always thinking of that down the road. Richard Twist one time said that I see myself as in the middle. Yeah, as like number 4. It's like, there's 3 generations behind me and there's 3 generations ahead of me. It's that I'm a part and continuing that 7 generation because I'm a part of that middle of it going on. And I thought that's a great way to see it too, that you're not just at the end or the beginning, you're continuing moving right along. You're number 4 in there. So. Joe, we'll take one last one as we go.
Oh, I was just thinking about the creating things. I just that got me thinking. Usually, whenever I have a dream or a vision, like I'll, like a created thing will come from that. So like I'll either have a beating or like I sit here and I work on stuff. So right now I'm working on a walking stick that was from a dream I had couple days ago. So and then I know for me, like part of my path in that is usually it's connected to another person. So then the gifting thing happens, and so anyway, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, go into all your comments were meant for someone. You touched different ones. I pray that Lord used me in a way to bring His Spirit and knowledge into your life. We go into a closing song now with and what is it called? Ganaroqua. And then we'll go jump right into Namar Newson, also from California, up there in Barstow area.
I should gather up the blanket so there's a space to round it. All right, so we're going to do the Ganaroqua round dance. So hopefully you have a space to sing and round dance where you're at. And yeah, a lot of repetition in this one, so if you're not super familiar with it yet, it should be easy to pick up.
You're unmuted. Reverb.
What was that?
I was saying Joe is unmuted. There's a little reverb that I'm getting. There we go. Sorry.
Yeah, I always appreciate it because I can't hear what's going out over the feed. So it's nice when you guys help out that way. All right.
Yes, oh, Ganaronkwa. Yes, oh, Ganaronkwa. Yes, oh, Ganaronkwa. Hey, oh, hey, oh. Yes, oh, Ganaronkwa. Hey, oh, hey, oh. Yes, oh, Yahweh, Ganaronkwa. Yes, oh, Yahweh, Ganaronkwa. Jesus is good medicine, Ganaronkwa. Jesus is good medicine, Ganaronkwa. Ganaronkwa. Get up and help everybody do a round dance. Yes, oh, Ganaronkwa. I know. Yes, oh, Ganaronkwa. Yes, oh, Yahweh, Ganaronkwa. Yes, oh, Yahweh, Ganaronkwa. Jesus is good medicine, Ganaronkwa. Jesus is good medicine, Ganaronkwa. Ganaronkwa. Ganaronkwa.
Now, hope everybody on this Zoom, you were dancing. They got to see us. Very cool. Namar, send us all.
Can you all hear me okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. So you all with me? All right. Well, first of all, definitely want to acknowledge and pray for Megan that she would recover from feeling ill under the weather. So praying to the Creator, the Jehovah Rapha, the Almighty Healer, for recovery for our sister Megan, and that she will be enabled to speak for us and to teach us in the near future. Thank you, Pops, for all that you have taught and shared today. Definitely want to praise the Creator for the visions that He has bestowed upon you and our brethren who are leading us into this different wave of ministry that had been prophesied by Billy Graham many years ago. So praise be to Creator for the fulfillment of the prophecy. And thanks be to Jesus who has enabled us to have that relationship with Creator, the Father, so that we can be able to receive those visions and to go out and share them. As Jesus, Creator Sets Free, has commanded us to go out and to share, keyword share, that good news and to share that vision. And may the Creator give us all wisdom to know the difference between what is our gift exactly that was bestowed upon us by Him, rather than what we want our gifts to be when we are caught in our flesh. And may we use those gifts, may we use that wisdom, and may we encourage one another as we are one body of believers that were created especially unique, each and every one of us created especially unique to fulfill our part in that great purpose, that great commandment, that great commission, that one calling to share Creator Sets Free's good news that will enable us to have that intimacy with Him that was meant to be established in the very beginning before the fall. And as our mother and father, talking about Adam and Eve, who have fallen and who have been so deceived by the enemy, who had disrupted that intimacy that we have with Creator, thanks be to Jesus who restored and redeemed us all so that we can experience that and so we can fulfill that great purpose. May we remember this and acknowledge what we are supposed to do throughout our service and within the great ministry. May we have the wisdom to know what we are supposed to do in fulfilling this, and may we not be distracted or distorted from the enemy. And may we remember that the reason why we are going through our hard times right now is because the enemy is trying to stop us from what we are supposed to do, while at the same time God is strengthening us so that we will persevere in the faith and do what He has led us to do. May we carry this throughout the week, and may we carry this beyond this week. And may we be blessed and remember that we are so loved. May we be surprised by what the Creator Sets Free will do for us throughout this week. And may we be ready next week to share the good news that we experienced throughout this week, something that we had not expected to experience, and to give that to one another and to give that to ourselves. May we love ourselves. Sometimes we are not good to ourselves. I know that I struggle with that. Sometimes I'm not good to myself. I'm not loving myself the way I should. I'm not encouraging myself the way that I should. So let us remember that we are to do that. And may we increase the peace that dwells within us, peace that the Lord gives us, and not what the world gives us, and definitely not what the enemy gives us. In Creator Sets Free name, by means of the Great Spirit. Oh.
Woo!
All right, thank you all for coming tonight. I had to step in and pitch it tonight. I hope it was well. Casey up to bat, I guess they call that. So, we pray for Megan, and we'll plug her in. Got a couple spaces down the road here that she'll be in. So I hope she feels better. Thank you all for being here tonight, and thanks for dancing tonight. Did really well. Yeah. All right. Love you all. Have a good evening.
See you next week.
See you next week, and see the group tomorrow night, 7:00. Yeah, we got different ones. We got Texas. Jamie's from Texas. Namar's from California, and Oklahoma.